The forest was unervingly silent, a warning Arya should have heeded. Over the years, she'd learned that true silence in the wilderness always meant predators, and predators meant danger. Yet exhaustion weighed her down like stone. 3 weeks of traveling between packs, offering her healing services in exchange for scraps of food and a place to rest, had drained her completely. Her white hair hung limp around her shoulders, pale skin streaked with dirt, and gray eyes stung from sleepless nights. She should have stopped hours ago, but the nearest settlement was still a day's walk away. Sleeping alone in the forest had never bothered her, not since she was 15, after a rogue attack had killed her parents and left her orphaned, a ghostly girl no pack wanted. Her appearance had always been a problem: hair white as snow, skin almost translucent, eyes the gray of winter storms. Not quite albino, the healers had told her parents, but close enough that other wolves found her unsettling, unnatural, a bad omen. When her parents died defending their pack from rogues, no one fought to keep their strange-looking daughter. A bag of supplies and a pointed direction toward the border had been all she was given. That was 7 years ago. 7 years of wandering, healing for anyone who'd accept her, never staying long enough to form attachments, because attachments only brought pain. She was good at healing. Her parents had been gifted healers and had trained her well. But no skill could make people comfortable around someone who looked like death itself. Then came the cry, high-pitched, terrified. Not a puppy, a wolf cub. Arya froze. Her instincts screamed to turn away. Wolf cubs meant parents nearby, and protective adult wolves didn't welcome strangers. But the cry came again, weaker this time, a whimper that pierced her heart. She moved before thought could stop her, following the sound through the undergrowth. Her healing sense, a magical awareness that let her feel injury and illness, flared to life. Pain. So much pain. She burst through a thicket of brambles and stopped. The cub was small, white fur matted with blood, dragging itself across the forest floor, one hind leg twisted unnaturally, deep gashes across its back. Standing between the cub and the trees were 3 rogues, scarred and mangy, their eyes shining with malice. This was no hunt. They were toying with it, letting it try to escape before dragging it back, enjoying its terror. "Hey!" Arya shouted before thinking. "Get away from it." The rogues turned, registering her. "A lone Omega, unarmed, defenseless," one said, shifting to human form. A tall man with a scarred face and cruel eyes. "Well, well. The moon goddess smiles on us today. First the little prince, now a pretty little Omega to play with. Though, you're a strange one. Like a corpse that forgot to die." Arya's mind raced. White fur hunted by rogues who specifically wanted it. Oh no. This wasn't just any cub. This was someone important. "I don't know what you mean," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "But leave the cub alone and go." The rogue laughed as the other 2 shifted to human form, flanking her. "Or what, little ghost girl? You don't even have a pack. You're nobody. And nobody will care when we're done with you." He was right. She was nobody. No pack would avenge her. No one would notice if she died. But the cub, the tiny white wolf bleeding on the ground, was somebody. And Arya had spent 7 years being nothing. She was tired of being nothing. Tired of walking past suffering. Tired of surviving when she'd stopped living. "You're right," she said quietly, reaching into her pack. "I am nobody. Which means I've got nothing to lose." She drew her father's knife, the only weapon she owned, and lunged at the nearest rogue. The fight was brutal. Arya was no warrior. The rogues were bigger, stronger, trained to kill. But she had surprise and rage. Years of anger at a world that treated her like garbage, at packs that used her skills then discarded her, at life itself. Her knife found the first rogue's throat, blood sprayed. The second clawed her ribs, but she elbowed him, spun, and drove her knife upward, piercing his mouth and brain. The third rogue shifted back to wolf form and lunged. Too slow, too injured, she couldn't dodge. His teeth sank into her shoulder, throwing her against a tree. Pain exploded through her body, but she refused to watch him go for the cub. Her healing sense screamed, 3 broken ribs, punctured lung, shattered shoulder, deep lacerations. She was dying, but her gift wasn't just for sensing injuries. It was for healing. And healing was energy. She drew past her usual limits, past safety, to the core of her life force. Power surged, agonizing, raw, ancient. Life you weaver, a whisper in her mind. She threw it at the rogue, not to heal but to drain. Life energy flowed out of him. He collapsed mid-step, aging decades in moments, fur gray and patchy, then stopped breathing. The backlash slammed her into the ground, every movement a torment. But the cub, white pure with blue eyes, was alive. Royal bloodlines always bred true, this was no ordinary cub. "Hey, sweetheart," she whispered, trembling, placing hands on him. "It'll help. I promise." She drew from herself, all of herself, pouring life into him. His broken legs straightened, gashes closed, new fur sprouted. She gave until there was nothing left. The world blurred. Heart slowing, breath gone, consciousness slipping. The cub was fully healed. Nuzzling her, whimpering. She felt herself falling, but it was a good death. She had saved someone. She didn't see the howl he threw back, carrying through the forest. She didn't see the wolves arrive, wild ones, royal guard, drawn by the pulse of life you weaver. And she didn't see Kyle, Alpha King of the Northern Territories, racing into the clearing, shifting to human form, blue eyes taking in the carnage. 3 dead rogues, a tiny white cub, and a woman lying in a pool of her own blood. He felt the bond hit like lightning. Mate. 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 She was dying, but she had saved his son. She was his true mate. He called the healers, cradling Finn, watching over Arya as magic and effort kept her alive. For 6 days, he never left her side. On the 6th day, just after dawn, her eyes opened, confusion and exhaustion in her gray gaze. "The cub," she rasped. "He's fine," Kyle said, nodding to Finn curled beside her, still holding her hand. "Thanks to you." "I gave him everything," she whispered, tears slipping down. "You almost did," Kyle said gently. "You awakened the life you weaver gift, rare and dangerous. And you're my mate, Arya." Her eyes widened, shock and disbelief mingling with the dawning understanding. "But I'm nobody," she said. "The moon goddess paired us because you're exactly what I need," he said. "Brave, selfless, strong. And Finn," he glanced at his son, who had climbed onto the bed, "has chosen you as his person." Arya, overwhelmed, reached out, touched the small boy. "I'm glad you're okay," she murmured. "All healed." Finn's face lit up. "Nothing hurts. You're my hero. Please stay." She laughed, weak but genuine. "I like snow too," she said softly. In the weeks that followed, Arya healed under Kyle's care, slowly adjusting to a life she hadn't expected, a home, a mate, and a son who adored her beyond measure. Slowly, she began to allow herself to belong. Arya watched Finn run ahead, his laughter bubbling through the garden like sunlight. She moved instinctively, catching him when he stumbled, steadying him with ease. Every small action, the tilt of his head, the way he clung to her side, the shy smiles he offered, wove a bond stronger than any she had known. She was becoming the mother he had never had, not because of some mate bond or obligation, but because her heart genuinely cared for the boy who had decided she hung the moon. Her life weaver gift, however, remained a source of terror. Its raw power, its potential to drain her completely, terrified her. Kale understood and never pushed her. Instead, he brought scholars, healers, and ancient texts to study the lost art with her. Slowly, they unraveled the truth. Lifeweaver wasn't merely about transferring vitality, it was about balance, about understanding the flow of life itself. With careful practice, Arya learned to heal without risking her own life. She could sense illness before it manifested, strengthen life force without taking from her own, and even mend emotional wounds, soothe trauma, calm fear, ease nightmares. It was this subtle unseen gift that helped Finn begin to heal from the void left by his mother's death. He learned that love could exist again, that he could trust, that family wasn't just blood. 3 months later, Chaol found Arya in the palace gardens, Finn at her side, both immersed in making flower crowns. The sunlight spilled over the scene, catching in Arya's white hair and casting a warm glow over her flushed cheeks. Finn's small hands fumbled clumsily with daisies, trying to weave them together, guided by Arya's patient fingers. "For you, Dada," Finn announced, holding up a lopsided crown. Chaol knelt so his son could place it atop his head, earning a delighted giggle. "Very pretty," Chaol agreed. "Did you make one for Arya too?" "She made her own," Finn said proudly. "Big girls can do stuff by themselves, but I helped." Arya's crooked crown sat atop her hair, a symbol of life and warmth where death had once lingered. Chaol settled on the bench beside her, careful to respect her space. "He loves you," he said quietly. "Not because of some magical bond, not because of what you did for him, but because you're patient, kind, and make him feel safe." Arya traced the petals of her crown, eyes softening. "I love him too," she admitted. "I didn't expect to. I never thought about having children, never thought I'd have a home. But Finn, he's brave, sweet, full of life. Being with him makes me feel like maybe I'm not just a wanderer anymore. Maybe I could be someone's mother." "You could be his mother," Chaol said softly. "He needs one. And I think you need him just as much." Arya hesitated. "I'm not his mother. I'm just—" "You've been raising him," Chaol interrupted gently. "Kissing his bruises, reading him stories, teaching him about flowers. He runs to you after nightmares. He sneaks into your room because he feels safe. That's what makes someone a parent: love, care, protection. Not biology." Tears brimmed in Arya's eyes. "I'm scared. What if I mess him up? What if I'm not good enough?" Chaol's hand found hers, threading his fingers through hers. "We'll figure it out together. You have me. You have us. You'll never be alone in this." She looked up at him, seeing the depth of his honesty and patience. "The mate bond," she whispered. "I can feel it now. It's pulling me to you, but I don't want to feel pressured." "I don't want you to accept it because it's fate," Chaol said firmly. "I want you to choose me. Every day freely, because you want to be with us." "That's a lot of pressure," Arya said with a tentative smile. "Then take your time," Chaol said. "But know I'll be here, hoping, waiting, ready to build something amazing with you whenever you are." Arya rested her head on his shoulder, a quiet gesture of trust. They sat like that for a long time, fingers entwined, flower crowns on their heads, while Finn's laughter drifted across the garden. A month later, Arya approached Chaol's study, heart pounding. "I've decided," she said, determination in her eyes. "About us." Chaol's voice was calm, but his heart raced. "Yes. I want this," Arya said. "Not because fate demands it, but because you've been patient. Because you let me fall in love with Finn freely. Because I want to. Because my future includes both of you." Relief and joy flooded Chaol. "You're sure?" "I'm sure," Arya said, stepping forward and pressing her lips softly to his. The bond flared between them, overwhelming and beautiful. When they pulled back, she smiled. "I want to be Finn's mother, your mate, and the Luna of this pack. I want to stop running and start living. I want a family." "You have one," Chaol said, pulling her close. "As long as you want it, you have us." The mating ceremony followed under a full moon, Finn proudly acting as ring-bearer despite nearly dropping the bands 3 times. The pack, neighboring territories, and the wild white wolves Arya had saved all attended, forming a protective circle around the Lifeweaver. When Chaol marked her, the bond settled perfectly, not a chain, but a choice freely made. Finn cheered, demanding confirmation that Arya was officially his mother. Yes, she said, kneeling to hug him. If you want me to be, I am. Finn's laughter rang out. Best mother ever. Even better than flower crowns. Years later, as Finn trained to be a wise and compassionate heir, he'd ask Arya about the day she saved him. She would smile, pull him close, and whisper, "You weren't a stranger. The moment I saw you hurt and scared, you became mine to protect. And in return, you gave me the greatest gift, a reason to stop running, and a home to stay in. That's what family does, we protect each other." The Life Weaver gift would awaken in Finn's children generations later, and the tale of the ghost girl who became queen would be retold as a legend of courage, sacrifice, and love, reminding all wolves that the moon goddess rewards hearts that are pure.